Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we are stepping into the intriguing world of naturopathy, a field that sits at the crossroads of nature, medicine, history, and modern curiosity. It is a world shaped by herbs and habits, by food and movement, by sunlight, rest, and the rhythms of daily life. For some, naturopathy feels familiar and comforting. For others, it feels mysterious or even controversial. And for many, it is something they have heard about, but never fully explored. Naturopathy asks big questions in simple ways. How does the body heal? What happens when lifestyle becomes medicine? Where does tradition meet evidence? And where do they part ways? It is a story filled with surprising origins, powerful ideas, real risks, and moments of genuine insight. Some paths lead to proven benefits. Others invite skepticism and careful thought. Naturopathy reveals how deeply humans have always searched for health, balance, and meaning in the natural world. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, there's nothing you need to do but relax. Let your body soften. Allow your breathing to slow, and let your mind settle into stillness as we explore this fascinating world together. Let's begin. Naturopathy blends lifestyle medicine, nutrition, and traditional remedies into one approach. It could look less like a single treatment and more like a map of daily life. A naturopathic visit might move from what you eat to how you sleep to how you handle stress at work, then out to the practical world of herbs, nutrients, and therapies where a practitioner uses their hands. The idea is to zoom out until patterns appear. Maybe reflux is tied to late meals and peppermint tea. Maybe headaches are due to dehydration and skipped breakfasts. Maybe fatigue shows up when movement disappears. This approach can feel refreshing because it connects small choices to big outcomes. It can also feel overwhelming because everything matters at once. At its best, it turns health into a story you can change, one chapter at a time, with clear steps you can actually live with. Some naturopaths teach breathing techniques that measurably slow heart rate. Breathing is one of the few body systems you can steer on purpose, and the body responds quickly. Slow, steady breathing can activate the vagus nerve and shift the balance toward rest and recovery. Many people can feel it within minutes. The shoulders drop. The jaw unclenches. The heart stops sprinting. A common technique is to lengthen the exhale, because a longer exhale tends to calm the nervous system. Another is to breathe low and wide into the ribs, rather than shallowly into the chest. Some practitioners pair this with a simple pulse check before and after, so the effect becomes visible, not mystical. It can be especially useful before sleep, before a stressful conversation, or during a wave of anxiety. The wonder is that you do not need equipment. You are carrying the tool with you all day. Used consistently, it can change how reactive the body becomes to everyday stress. Naturopathy's popularity surged in the 19th century alongside modern industrial medicine. This was a time when cities grew fast, factories reshaped work, and medicine itself was changing in dramatic ways. Many conventional treatments of the era were harsh, and hospitals could be frightening places. At the same time, people were surrounded by smoke, crowded housing, and new processed foods. Into that world stepped health movements that praised fresh air, bathing, whole foods, and physical culture. Naturopathy gathered energy from those currents. It promised a return to the body's resilience, with practices that felt tangible and personal. It also spread through lectures, pamphlets, and early wellness communities, which made it accessible outside elite medical circles. Understanding this history adds depth to the modern conversation. It explains why the field carries both a hopeful spirit and a rebellious streak. It grew in the space between suffering and progress, why people wanted care that felt humane. Naturopathy often prioritizes sleep, movement, and stress before supplements or herbs. This ordering can feel almost too simple until you notice how powerful it can be. Sleep changes appetite hormones and pain sensitivity. Movement helps regulate blood sugar and mood. Chronic stress reshapes attention, digestion, and immune signaling. When those pillars wobble, adding a supplement can be like painting a house with a cracked foundation. Some naturopaths start with routines that are surprisingly specific. Set a consistent wake time. Walk after meals. Build a wind-down ritual that actually fits your life. Reduce caffeine after midday. Pair that with food choices that are realistic and satisfying, not punishing. Only after those basics are steadier do they consider pills and powders, if they are needed at all. The appeal is that the treatment can become a lifestyle that keeps working long after the appointment ends. Herbal remedies can act like real drugs, and they can interact like them too. Plants are not just flavoring. They are chemistry. When you swallow a herb, your liver still has to process it, your kidneys still have to clear it, and your receptors still respond to its active compounds. That is why some herbs can change how prescription medications behave. Some speed up the enzymes that break drugs down. Others slow those enzymes, which can raise drug levels higher than intended. There are also interactions with blood clotting, blood pressure, and sedation. This is not meant to scare anyone away from botanicals. It is meant to treat them with appropriate respect. The safest version of herbal care looks a lot like good pharmacy practice. Find out the active ingredients. Know the dose. Know your other medications. Tell your doctor what you're taking, even if it feels just natural. Responsible use turns a folk remedy into informed care. Mindfulness practices can reduce perceived pain intensity in some people. Pain is not just damage. It is an experience created by the nervous system, shaped by attention, emotion, and memory. Mindfulness does not deny pain. It changes the relationship to it. Instead of tensing against every sensation, a person learns to notice it with less panic and less prediction. That shift can reduce suffering, even when the sensation is still present. Some people practice a body scan, moving attention slowly from toes to scalp. Others use a simple label, like pressure, heat, pulling, then return to the breath. Over time, the brain can stop amplifying the signal with fear. That can mean fewer flare-ups, better sleep, and more willingness to move again. The fascination is that training attention can change pain pathways, like tuning an instrument. It is not a cure for every condition, and it is not instant. For some, it is a powerful layer of relief that costs nothing and travels anywhere. Nutritional deficiencies can mimic illness, and correcting them can be dramatic. Sometimes the body sends distress signals that look like a mysterious disease, when it is really missing a basic building block. Low folate can leave you foggy and drained. Too little iodine can slow metabolism and chill the body from the inside. Inadequate vitamin C can affect gums and bruising in ways that feel alarming. Even a mild shortage can change mood, stamina, and concentration, because cells cannot run their chemistry on an empty pantry. The fascinating part is how quickly the story can change once the missing piece is found. Energy can return. Sleep can deepen. Exercise can stop feeling like wading through mud. This is why careful assessment matters, because guessing can waste months. When the right deficiency is identified, the fix can feel almost like flipping a hidden switch that you did not know existed. Vitamin B12 deficiency can imitate dementia symptoms in severe cases. A shortage of this vitamin can quietly disrupt the nervous system, and the signs can be deeply unsettling. People may struggle with memory, attention, and word finding. They might feel unsteady on their feet, or notice tingling and numbness in hands and feet. Mood can shift too, with irritability or low spirits that seem to arrive out of nowhere. What makes this so striking is that the symptoms can resemble serious neurological disease, yet the root problem can be treatable when caught in time. The vitamin is crucial for healthy nerve function and normal blood cell formation. Risk rises in certain situations, like strict vegan diets without supplementation, stomach surgery, and some conditions that impair absorption. The takeaway is not fear. It is awareness. If troubling symptoms appear, asking about this vitamin can be a surprisingly important step. Iron deficiency can cause fatigue even before anemia appears in blood tests. The body uses iron to move oxygen and to power cell energy systems, so low stores can feel like running a phone on a dying battery. You might wake tired, then find your focus fading by mid-morning. Exercise can feel harder than it should, even with decent sleep. Some people notice restless legs at night or a pounding heart on stairs. What surprises many listeners is that standard screening can miss the early stage. Hemoglobin may still look normal while iron stores are sliding downward. That is why clinicians sometimes check ferritin, which reflects storage. The reasons for low iron can be practical and varied, including heavy menstrual bleeding, frequent blood donation, low intake, or absorption problems. When the cause is found and addressed, the return of stamina can feel like reclaiming a part of yourself you forgot was possible. Botanical medicine draws on pharmacology because plants contain active molecules. Walk through a garden and you are also walking through a library of chemicals. Plants cannot run away, so they defend themselves with compounds that deter insects, fight fungi, or signal danger. When humans use botanical medicine, they are borrowing that chemistry. The fascinating twist is that a plant remedy is rarely one single ingredient. It is often a mixture, with multiple compounds acting together, sometimes gently and sometimes powerfully. That complexity can be helpful because it may hit more than one pathway at a time. It can also make dosing harder because growing conditions, harvest time, and preparation methods change what ends up in the final product. This is why the best practitioners talk about botanicals with the same respect they give to pharmaceuticals. They ask, what is active? What is the likely effect? And what might go wrong in the wrong person? Nature exposure correlates with stress reduction, even in brief urban parks. A short walk among trees can change how the day feels, and research has found associations between green space exposure and lower stress markers. Even in a city, a small park can offer a different sensory diet. Softer sounds, uneven textures, moving leaves, and longer sightlines that let the eyes relax. Attention can shift from scanning for notifications to noticing patterns, which may reduce mental fatigue. Some studies track cortisol patterns, blood pressure, or self-reported calm, and they often find benefits after surprisingly brief visits. The fascination is that nature does not need to be dramatic to help. A pocket garden, a river path, a courtyard with plants can all count. This is not about pretending stress disappears. It is about giving the nervous system a different input stream, one that signals safety more often than urgency. Nature exposure also nudges behavior. People walk longer, breathe deeper, and spend less time sitting. Those changes add up, and they do it quietly, without requiring motivation speeches. Food intolerances are often confused with allergies, but they are not identical. An allergy is an immune alarm that can escalate quickly, sometimes with hives, swelling, and breathing trouble. An intolerance is usually slower, more dose-dependent, and often centered on digestion. It might cause bloating, cramps, diarrhea, or brain fog hours after eating, which makes it harder to connect cause and effect. Lactose intolerance is a classic example, where the body lacks enough lactase enzyme to break down milk sugar. Another example is sensitivity to certain fermentable carbohydrates, where specific fruits, grains, or sweeteners can trigger gut distress in susceptible people. The confusion matters because the response should differ. True allergy needs clear avoidance and medical guidance. Intolerance often allows flexibility, like smaller portions, timing adjustments, or targeted changes. Understanding the difference can turn food from a confusing enemy into a solvable puzzle, and it can prevent unnecessary fear around eating. Elimination diets can help some symptoms, yet they can also create fear. An elimination diet is like pressing pause on a noisy playlist, so you can identify which track is causing the problem. For some people with persistent bloating, migraines, or eczema, a short, structured removal of common triggers can bring clarity. The key is structure. You remove specific foods for a defined time, then reintroduce them one at a time to watch what happens. Without that reintroduction phase, the diet becomes a trap. People can end up shrinking their menu until meals feel dangerous and social life feels impossible. Nutrient gaps can appear, especially when entire food groups disappear for months. The most useful version is guided, time-limited, and paired with a plan for returning variety. The goal is information, not restriction. When done well, it can replace vague suspicion with real knowledge. When done poorly, it can turn the dinner plate into a source of constant anxiety. Ultra-processed foods correlate with poorer health outcomes across many cohorts. Ultra-processed foods are engineered for convenience and craveability, often combining refined starches, added sugars, industrial fats, and flavor, systems that encourage overeating. Large cohort studies have found correlations between higher intake and higher risks of outcomes like obesity, cardiovascular disease, and overall mortality, though correlation does not prove causation. Still, the pattern repeats across populations often enough to raise concern. One reason may be that these foods are energy-dense and easy to eat quickly, which can bypass satiety signals. Another reason may be lower fiber and micronutrient density compared with whole foods. Additives and packaging chemicals are also being studied as potential contributors. The fascination is that food is not only nutrients. It is structure, texture, speed of eating, and how the gut responds. When people shift toward minimally processed meals, many notice steadier energy and fewer cravings, even without strict calorie counting. It can feel like stepping off a treadmill you did not realize was moving. Gut-focused approaches often target fiber because microbes thrive on it. Fiber is not just about regularity. It is food for the microbial community living in the colon, and those microbes produce compounds that influence gut lining health and inflammation. When fiber intake is low, certain helpful bacteria struggle, and the ecosystem can tilt in less desirable directions. Increasing fiber can be as simple as adding beans, oats, lentils, chia, vegetables, or berries. The fascinating part is that the body often needs time to adapt. If you add a lot too quickly, gas and discomfort can spike, which makes people think fiber is the problem. Gradual change matters, and hydration matters too. Some naturopathic plans treat fiber like a slow training program for your inner ecosystem. Over weeks, digestion can become steadier, stool patterns can normalize, and cravings can shift. It is a quiet intervention with a surprisingly wide reach because gut microbes communicate with metabolism, immunity, and even mood signaling. Fermented foods can shift the gut microbiome, though effects vary widely. Fermentation is an ancient technology that turns ordinary ingredients into living, tangy foods. Yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, and kombucha carry microbes and fermentation byproducts that can influence digestion. Some people feel immediate benefits, like improved regularity or less bloating. Others feel worse at first, especially if they are sensitive to histamine, very acidic foods, or carbonation. That range of responses is part of what makes this topic so interesting. Two people can eat the same spoonful of kimchi and have completely different outcomes because their starting microbiomes and immune responses differ. There is also the issue of product variation. Homemade ferments, refrigerated ferments, and shelf-stable versions are not identical in microbial content. A practical approach is to start small, choose one food, and observe. The goal is not to chase a trend. The goal is to learn what your body actually does with these living foods. Probiotic strains differ, so one probiotic is not the same as another. The word probiotic sounds like a single product category, but it is more like the word dog. A Chihuahua and a Husky are both dogs, yet they do very different things. Probiotics work the same way. Different strains have been studied for different outcomes, from antibiotic-associated diarrhea to certain irritable bowel patterns. Some strains are better at surviving stomach acid. Others are better at interacting with immune cells in the gut. This is why a random high-dose capsule does not guarantee results. It may be the wrong strain for the goal, or it may not be viable by the time it reaches you. Storage and expiration matter, and so does the form. To some people, prebiotics, which feed existing microbes, may be more helpful than adding new ones. The wow moment is realizing that the best question is not, do probiotics work? It is which strain, for which problem, in which person, and under what conditions. Omega-3 intake is linked with inflammation markers in many studies. Omega-3 fats are part of the raw material the body uses to build signaling molecules that help manage inflammation. They are found in fatty fish like salmon and sardines, and in plant sources like flax and chia, though conversion differs. Research often looks at blood markers, and higher omega-3 status is frequently associated with lower levels of certain inflammatory signals. That does not mean they are a cure for everything, but it does show they can nudge physiology in a measurable direction. What is also fascinating is how they become part of cell membranes. Over time, diet changes the very fabric of cells, which can influence how cells respond to stress. Some people aim for food first, with fish a couple of times per week. Others use supplements, which raises questions about freshness and oxidation. The most compelling part is that this is not a trendy molecule. It is a basic ingredient in the body's communication system. High sodium diets can raise blood pressure, even without obvious symptoms. Blood pressure can climb silently, which is why sodium is such a sneaky character in the nutrition story. Many people do not feel any different as pressure rises, yet the strain on blood vessels accumulates over years. Sodium affects fluid balance, so more sodium can mean more volume in the bloodstream, which can push pressure upward. The twist is that the biggest sodium source is often not the salt shaker. It is packaged and restaurant food, where sodium hides in bread, sauces, soups, and snacks. Some people are more salt-sensitive than others, and genetics, age, and kidney function can all play roles. What makes this topic feel empowering is how measurable it can be. A person can track blood pressure, adjust food patterns, and watch trends change over weeks. It turns a distant risk into a real feedback loop, and it shows how everyday choices can influence the body's plumbing in a very direct way. Willow bark contains salicylates related to the origin story of aspirin. Long before modern tablets existed, people noticed that willow could ease aches and fever. The key lies in salicylates, plant compounds that helped inspire the development of aspirin. That history is more than trivia. It shows how observation, tradition, and laboratory science can connect across centuries. It also shows why natural still needs caution. Willow bark is not identical to aspirin, and the dose is not as precise. Yet the body still responds to the chemistry, especially in people who are sensitive to salicylates or who already use blood-thinning medicines. The wonder here is the bridge between forest and pharmacy. A tree's defense chemistry became a clue, then a tool that changed pain relief for millions. When you hear that story, botanical medicine stops sounding like folklore. It starts sounding like early research, carried by human memory until science caught up. Foxglove led to digitalis drugs, showing plants can power modern cardiology. Foxglove is striking to look at, and it carries a serious lesson. Compounds from this plant helped lead to digitalis-based heart medicines, which can strengthen heart contractions and affect rhythm. It is a reminder that nature can produce substances that are both useful and dangerous, depending on dose. The line between remedy and poison can be thin enough to disappear. That is why this story is so gripping. A garden flower became part of cardiology, and it did so because people paid close attention to effects, then learned to isolate and measure what mattered. It also explains why self-experimenting with strong herbs can be risky. Some plants contain chemicals with narrow safety margins, which means a little too much can change the heart in the wrong direction. Foxglove teaches a quiet respect. Beauty does not equal safety, and potency is not the same as kindness. St. John's wort can reduce drug levels by boosting liver enzymes. This herb is often discussed for mood support, but its most dramatic talent may be how it changes other medicines. It can ramp up certain liver enzymes and drug transporters, which can lower the levels of some prescription drugs in the bloodstream. That means a medication can quietly become less effective, even when a person takes it perfectly. This is not an abstract risk. It can matter for things like transplant medications, some heart medicines, and certain forms of hormonal contraception. The fascinating part is that the herb is not attacking those drugs. It is speeding up the body's clearance systems, like turning up the speed on a conveyor belt. This is why careful clinicians ask about supplements with the same seriousness as prescriptions. A person might say, "It is just an herb." The body replies, "It is still chemistry." When that point lands, herbal medicine becomes more real and more responsibly handled. Grapefruit can increase drug levels because it slows certain drug breakdown pathways. One breakfast fruit can behave like a switch in the liver and intestines. Grapefruit contains compounds that inhibit enzymes involved in breaking down many medications. When those enzymes are slowed, a standard dose of a drug can act like a higher dose, because more of it reaches the bloodstream. The surprising part is how uneven this can be. For some medicines, the effect is minor. For others, it can be significant enough to raise side effect risk. Even the timing can matter, because the enzyme effect can last beyond the meal. This is a perfect example of how food and medicine are not separate worlds. They meet in the same digestive tract, and they compete for the same processing tools. It also shows why labels and pharmacist advice are not fussy details. They are practical safety rails. Sometimes the most important health choice is as simple as choosing a different fruit. Licorice root can raise blood pressure in susceptible people. Licorice has a sweet, nostalgic reputation, Yet the physiology behind it can be surprisingly intense. Certain compounds in licorice can affect hormone-like pathways that influence sodium retention and potassium balance. In some people, that shift can raise blood pressure and cause swelling, headaches, or muscle weakness. The effect is not guaranteed, and it depends on dose, duration, and individual sensitivity. That is what makes it such a useful cautionary tale. An herb can feel comforting, and it can still push the body in a direction you do not want. It also highlights a hidden detail. Not every licorice product is the same, because some are processed to remove the most problematic compounds. A thoughtful practitioner knows the difference and asks about existing hypertension, heart disease, and medication use. The larger lesson is simple. Herbs deserve the same respect as strong foods and drugs because they can change core body systems. Kava has been linked to liver injury, especially with poor quality extracts. Kava is used in some cultures as a ceremonial calming drink, and it also appears in modern supplements for relaxation. The complicated part is safety. There have been reports linking some kava products to liver injury, with risk thought to be higher when extracts are poorly made, contaminated, or prepared from the air. Wrong plant parts. This has led to warnings and restrictions in some places, and to careful debate about what forms are safest. The story is compelling because it shows how tradition and mass production can collide. A preparation made in a community with known methods is not the same as a concentrated capsule from an unknown supply chain. It also shows why more potent is not always better. Concentration can amplify both effects and risks. A careful approach means checking product quality, avoiding alcohol mixing, and being cautious with existing liver disease. Kava's lesson is that calming should not come at the cost of harm. Ephedra was restricted after serious cardiovascular harms were reported. Ephedra became famous in modern times as a weight loss and energy supplement because it can stimulate the nervous system. That stimulation can raise heart rate and blood pressure, and it can increase the risk of dangerous events in susceptible people. Reports of strokes, heart attacks, and sudden death helped drive regulatory actions in several countries. The reason this matters for naturopathy is not just history. It is a warning about the seduction of quick results. A substance that makes you feel energized can also be pushing the cardiovascular system harder than you realize. It can feel like motivation, while it is actually strain. This story also highlights the value of regulation and post-market surveillance. Problems often emerge when a product reaches millions, not when it is used quietly by a few. Ephedra reminds us that safety is not a vibe. It is data collected over time, sometimes after real harm. Black cohosh is studied for menopause symptoms with mixed results. Menopause can bring hot flashes, night sweats, and sleep disruption that feel like a private storm. Black cohosh is one of the better-known herbal options people try, and it has been studied for symptom relief with inconsistent findings. Some trials show benefit for some people. Others show little difference from placebo. That mixed picture can sound disappointing, but it is actually useful. It tells you the herb is not a guaranteed fix, and it invites careful experimentation with boundaries. The best approach is to track symptoms over time, choose reputable products, and watch for side effects. It also reminds listeners that menopause care is broader than one herb. Temperature management, caffeine timing, stress reduction, and medical options can all play roles. The fascination here is the complexity of hormone-related symptoms. A single plant may help some bodies and not others, because biology is personal. Mixed results are not failure. They are reality. Ginger can reduce nausea for some people, including in pregnancy care. Ginger has a rare talent. It can be both a kitchen spice and a clinically discussed remedy. For some people, it helps ease nausea, including motion sickness, post-operative queasiness, and the nausea of early pregnancy. That does not mean it is perfect for everyone, and pregnancy always deserves extra caution and professional guidance. Still, the idea that a familiar root can influence the gut and the brain's nausea pathways is genuinely remarkable. Many people use it in small, practical forms. Ginger tea sipped slowly. Candied ginger in tiny bites. Capsules with standardized dosing when recommended by a clinician. The charm is that it can be easy to try, and its effects can be noticed quickly. It also opens a bigger lesson about nausea itself. Nausea is a protective reflex, and it can be soothed through the gut signaling network. Ginger is one of the clearest examples of a traditional remedy that modern research keeps taking seriously. Peppermint oil can ease irritable bowel symptoms for some patients. For some people with irritable bowel syndrome, the gut can feel like it has a mind of its own, cramping, bloating, and switching gears without warning. Peppermint oil is interesting because it is not used as a flavor here. It is used for its effects on smooth muscle. Enteric-coated capsules are designed to pass through the stomach, then open farther down, where the oil can help relax intestinal spasms. When it works, the change can feel surprisingly direct. Less gripping pain, less urgency, a calmer rhythm after meals. It is not magic, and it is not for everyone. Reflux can worsen in some people because peppermint can relax the valve at the top of the stomach. That is why it is often tried thoughtfully, with symptom tracking and careful timing. It is a neat example of an herb acting in a targeted, almost pharmaceutical way. Turmeric contains curcumin, but absorption challenges limit many supplement claims. Turmeric is the golden spice that makes curries glow, and its most studied compound is curcumin. In lab settings, curcumin can influence inflammatory pathways, which sounds exciting. The catch is the journey from capsule to bloodstream. Curcumin is not absorbed well on its own, and the body clears it relatively quickly. That means many supplement claims skip an important question, which is whether enough reaches the right tissue at the right time. Some formulations try to solve this with pairing strategies, such as combining curcumin with black pepper extract or using special delivery forms. Each approach changes the chemistry and sometimes the safety picture, especially for people on medications that affect clotting. The fascination is that the spice is real, the molecules are real, and the challenge is real too. This is what makes evidence-based herbal use so interesting. It lives in the details of how the body handles a compound, not in the color of the label. Cinnamon can modestly affect blood sugar markers in some studies. Cinnamon is a common kitchen smell, yet it has earned a place in research conversations about metabolism. Some studies find small improvements in markers like fasting blood glucose, which suggests cinnamon may influence insulin sensitivity or glucose handling. The effect is usually modest, and it will not replace proven diabetes care. Still, it is intriguing because it points to food as a source of bioactive compounds, not just calories. The story gets more complex when you look at types of cinnamon. Cassia cinnamon can contain higher levels of coumarin, which can stress the liver at high long-term intakes. Ceylon cinnamon tends to have less. This means the most exciting part is not a miracle claim. It is the idea that a simple spice can nudge physiology, while also carrying trade-offs that depend on dose and type. Cinnamon invites a smarter kind of curiosity, where you enjoy the possibility without ignoring the limits. Chamomile may support sleep quality, though evidence is not definitive. Chamomile has a reputation as a bedtime tea, and the comfort is real, even before any science enters the room. Research on sleep outcomes is mixed, Yet some people report easier drifting off and fewer night awakenings. Part of the appeal is its ritual. The warm mug, the pause, the signal to the nervous system that the day is ending. Chamomile also contains compounds that may interact with calming pathways in the brain, which gives the tradition a plausible biological thread. It is usually well tolerated, but there are exceptions. People with ragweed allergies can sometimes react because the plants are related. There can also be interactions with certain medications, especially those affecting clotting. The fascination here is that sleep support often comes from stacking small influences: light, timing, temperature, and habits. Chamomile can be one soft piece in that larger puzzle, and it works best when it is part of a whole sleep plan rather than a last-minute rescue. Valerian has mixed evidence, and it can cause morning grogginess. Valerian is one of the most talked about sleep herbs, and its story is full of contrasts. Some studies suggest benefits for falling asleep or sleep depth. Others find little difference from placebo. That mixed evidence matches many people's experiences. For some, it feels like a helpful nudge toward sleep. For others, it does nothing, or it leaves them foggy the next morning. That grogginess matters, because the goal is restorative sleep, not sedation that lingers into the day. The herb has a distinctive smell, which some people love and others cannot tolerate. It can also interact with other sedating substances, including alcohol and certain medications. The most sensible way to think about valerian is as a trial with boundaries. Start low. Try it on a night without early obligations. Notice your next morning, mind and body. Its fascination is not in certainty. It is in how differently nervous systems can respond to the same plant chemistry. Echinacea research is inconsistent, especially for preventing common colds. Echinacea sits at the center of a popular hope, which is that an herb can prevent colds before they begin. The research has been mixed, partly because echinacea is not one standardized thing. Different species, different plant parts, different extraction methods, and different doses can all change results. Some studies suggest small benefits in cold duration or symptom severity. Others show no meaningful effect. That inconsistency can feel frustrating, yet it teaches an important lesson about herbal research. If the product varies, the outcome varies. It is also a reminder that immunity is not like a light switch you flip on. It is a complex system that must fight threats without overreacting. For some people, echinacea can trigger allergic reactions, and it may not be suitable for everyone with autoimmune concerns. The more interesting story is not a promise of cold-proof living. It is how an herb becomes a test case for what evidence means in the world of botanicals. Saw palmetto has weak evidence for prostate symptoms in major reviews. Saw palmetto is often marketed for urinary symptoms linked to benign prostate enlargement, and many men try it hoping for easier nights and fewer urgent trips. Large reviews have generally found that it does not outperform placebo in a convincing way, which is a sobering result given its popularity. That does not mean everyone who takes it is imagining benefits. Symptoms naturally fluctuate, and expectation effects are powerful. The deeper fascination is what this reveals about real-world health decisions. A remedy can be widely used, widely discussed, and still fail the strongest tests we have. That gap matters because urinary changes can also signal other issues that need medical evaluation. A careful approach means treating persistent symptoms as information, not inconvenience. If someone wants to try saw palmetto, the best version of that choice is informed and time-limited, with clear tracking. The goal is not belief. It is clarity about what helps, what does not, and when to seek proper assessment. Berberine can affect glucose metabolism, but dosing and safety need care. Berberine is a bitter plant compound found in several herbs, and it has drawn attention for effects on blood sugar and lipids in some studies. People sometimes compare it to common metabolic medications, which shows how seriously it is being discussed. The key is that natural does not mean casual. Berberine can cause digestive upset, and it may interact with medications in ways that matter. It also raises practical questions about product quality, because supplements can vary widely in purity and dose. The most compelling part is the way berberine highlights a middle space between herbalism and pharmacology. It is not a folk tea. It is a bioactive compound that can shift measurable markers. That means it deserves the same mindset as a drug trial. Who is it for? What is the target? How will you measure change? What side effects will make you stop? Used thoughtfully with medical guidance, it can be part of a serious plan. Used casually, it can become a problem disguised as a shortcut. Ashwagandha can influence thyroid labs in some cases. Ashwagandha is often used for stress support, and some people report feeling calmer or sleeping better with it. The intriguing twist is that it has been linked in some reports to changes in thyroid hormone levels. For a person with hypothyroidism, that might sound appealing. For someone with hyperthyroidism or thyroid sensitivity, it could be risky. The thyroid is a small gland with a big job, setting the pace of many body systems. When its signals shift, heart rate, heat tolerance, anxiety, and sleep can shift too. This is why supplements that affect thyroid labs deserve careful handling and lab monitoring when appropriate. It is also why symptoms alone can be misleading. Feeling more energetic might be a good sign, or it might be a warning. Ashwagandha becomes a reminder that herbs can reach deep into endocrine systems, and that those systems are interconnected. Responsible use means knowing your baseline, respecting dosage, and involving a clinician when thyroid issues are part of your health story. Magnesium can help constipation, but it can also cause diarrhea. Magnesium sits in a sweet spot where a single mineral can change how the gut moves. Satin forms draw water into the intestines, which can soften stool and ease constipation. For someone who has felt stuck for weeks, that relief can feel immediate and almost miraculous. The catch is that the same mechanism can overshoot, leading to loose stools, cramping, and urgency. The effect depends on the form, the dose, and the person's baseline digestion. That makes magnesium a lesson in calibration. Some people do better with a smaller dose taken at night. Others need a different form that is less laxative. It is also a reminder to consider the cause of constipation, like low fiber intake, dehydration, medication side effects, or lack of movement. Magnesium can be a useful tool, but it works best as part of a plan rather than a random experiment. Used thoughtfully, it can restore comfort and rhythm. Used carelessly, it can create a new problem by trying to solve an old one. Creatine is one of the most studied supplements for strength and performance. Creatine is fascinating because it has a reputation that feels like gym culture, yet it is also a normal molecule in the body. It helps regenerate energy during short, intense efforts, like sprinting, lifting, or quick bursts of climbing stairs. Research has consistently found that it can improve strength and power for many people when paired with training. It also tends to be relatively well tolerated at standard doses in healthy individuals, which is one reason it is so widely studied. The deeper story is that creatine is not only about athletes. It has been explored in older adults, where maintaining muscle can support independence and reduce injury risk. That makes it a supplement with a surprisingly broad narrative. It is still not for everyone, and people with kidney disease should be cautious and seek medical advice. Still, its evidence base stands out in a marketplace filled with hype. Creatine shows what it looks like when a supplement earns its reputation through repeated testing rather than clever slogans. Hydrotherapy traditions used temperature and water as structured body stimuli. Long before modern wellness studios, people treated water like a programmable force. Warmth to relax, cold to wake the nervous system, pressure to stimulate circulation, and rhythm to train the body's responses. In parts of Europe, structured routines became famous, including contrast applications that alternated hot and cold to create a pumping effect in blood vessels. Mineral baths became another branch of the tradition, where sulfur-rich or salty waters were used for aching joints and skin complaints. Even simple practices like a timed cold rinse on the legs were framed as a way to nudge circulation and resilience. The fascination is that water is both gentle and relentless. It transfers heat efficiently, and it touches every nerve ending on the skin at once. Used wisely, it can shift mood, alertness, and muscle tension in minutes. Used carelessly, it can overwhelm. Hydrotherapy is a reminder that the body reads temperature like a language, and it answers with real physiology. Using a sauna has links to cardiovascular outcomes in large observational studies. Step into a sauna, and your body responds as if it has begun a controlled workout. Heart rate rises, blood vessels widen, and skin blood flow increases to shed heat. Over time, regular sauna use has been associated in large observational research with patterns that look heart protective, including lower risks in certain cardiovascular outcomes. Observational does not prove cause, but it creates a compelling question. What if heat exposure is a kind of training for the vascular system? Heat can also trigger heat shock proteins, which help cells manage stress. Many sauna cultures pair heat with calm, social connection, and a deliberate pause from daily demands, which may matter too. The interesting part is that sauna is not just comfort. It is a full body stimulus that your circulation must adapt to. Still, it is not for everyone. People with unstable heart conditions or low blood pressure need caution. The safest fascination is to treat sauna like exercise. Start slowly, hydrate well, and respect your limits. Cold water exposure can raise blood pressure briefly, which matters for safety. Cold water can feel like a lightning strike to the nervous system. The first response is the cold shock reflex, an involuntary gasp and rapid breathing that can happen even in strong swimmers. At the same time, blood vessels in the skin constrict to conserve heat, and that can drive blood pressure up for a short period. For a healthy person, that spike may pass quickly. For someone with cardiovascular disease, it can be risky. This is why the most important skill with cold exposure is not toughness. It is control. Enter slowly when possible. Focus on long exhales to steady breathing. Keep sessions short, and stop if you feel dizzy or overwhelmed. The fascination is that cold is a powerful teacher. It shows you how quickly the body can shift gears from rest to alarm. When approached with care, it can build a sense of resilience. When treated like a dare, it can become dangerous in seconds. Massage can reduce anxiety and pain perception, even when tissue changes are small. Massage is often pictured as a luxury, yet its effects can be surprisingly practical. The hands-on pressure can lower perceived stress, soften muscle guarding, and change how the brain interprets discomfort. Sometimes the most meaningful change is not in the tissue itself. It is in the nervous system's volume knob. When the body feels safe, breathing slows, the jaw unclenches, and pain signals are less likely to be amplified by threat. Some people notice better sleep that night. Others feel a clearer mood, as if the mind has more space. Massage can also support recovery after training by reducing soreness perception and improving range of motion, even if muscle fibers are still repairing in the eye. Background. The fascinating detail is that touch is a biological signal, not only a sensation. It can influence hormones and autonomic balance, which shapes how tense or relaxed the body remains. The best massage is not about chasing knots. It is about creating a calmer baseline so the body stops bracing all day long. Acupuncture shows benefits for some pain conditions, though mechanisms are debated. Acupuncture sits in a rare place where tradition and modern research keep meeting, sometimes agreeing and sometimes arguing. For certain chronic pain conditions, many studies show meaningful symptom improvement compared with usual care. The mechanism is still debated, and that debate is part of the intrigue. Some explanations focus on nerve stimulation and how it can influence the spinal cord and brain. Others look at the release of natural pain-modulating chemicals and changes in blood flow and muscle tone. Researchers also wrestle with the question of sham acupuncture, because even minimal needling or touch can create a response. That makes it hard to separate technique from context. Yet for a person in pain, the practical question is whether it helps and whether it is safe when performed by a trained clinician. The safest fascination is to treat acupuncture as a tool, not a belief system. Track your pain, function, and sleep, and decide based on your own outcomes. Chiropractic spinal manipulation can help some back pain, with rare risks. Back pain is one of the most common human complaints, and it often improves with movement, time, and the right kind of support. Spinal manipulation is one approach that can reduce pain for some people, particularly with acute or subacute low back pain. It may work through joint mechanics, muscle reflexes, and the nervous system's perception of threat and stiffness. The key is that manipulation is not a cure for every cause of pain, and it is not always appropriate. A skilled clinician screens for red flags, like fever, unexplained weight loss, serious trauma, or neurological weakness, and refers out when needed. There are also rare but serious risks, especially with certain neck manipulations, which is why informed consent and careful technique matter. The fascination is that hands-on care can sometimes change pain quickly, even when scans look similar before and after. That reminds us pain is not only structure. It is a living signal shaped by movement, fear, and the brain's interpretation. Yoga can improve flexibility and stress, and sometimes lowers blood pressure. Yoga is often introduced as stretching, but its real strength is that it blends movement with breath and attention. That combination can loosen tight muscles while also shifting the nervous system toward a calmer mode. Over time, improved flexibility can make everyday tasks feel easier, from reaching overhead to getting up from the floor. Many people also notice changes in stress response. Slow breathing and steady postures can train the body to stay present without escalating into alarm. Some research suggests that regular practice can lower blood pressure in certain groups, especially when it includes breathing and relaxation components, though results vary by style and consistency. The interesting part is that yoga can be adapted almost endlessly. Chair-based practices exist for limited mobility. Stronger flows exist for athletes. The best entry point is the one you will repeat. Done safely, yoga becomes a practice of capacity, not contortion. It is less about touching toes and more about teaching the body it can settle, even while it works. Tai Chi improves balance in older adults, reducing fall risk in studies. Tai Chi can look slow from the outside, yet inside the body, it is busy training balance, coordination, and confidence. Each controlled shift of weight asks the ankles, hips, and core to make small adjustments. And those adjustments are exactly what prevent falls. Many studies in older adults show improvements in balance measures and reductions in fall risk, which is impressive because falls can be life-changing. The fascination is that Tai Chi is not brute strength training. It is neuromuscular education. It refines proprioception, the sense of where you are in space, and it teaches the nervous system to correct wobbling before it becomes a stumble. It also builds calm focus because the movements require attention without urgency. That combination can be especially valuable for people who fear falling, since fear itself can make gait more rigid and unstable. Tai Chi offers a different story. It says you can practice steadiness, one slow step at a time, and the body will learn. Light therapy can help seasonal depression, influencing circadian timing. Light is a biological command, and the brain treats morning brightness like a reset button. In seasonal affective disorder, shorter days can shift circadian rhythms and affect mood, energy, and sleep. Light therapy uses a bright light box at a specific time of day, often in the morning, to push the internal clock toward a healthier schedule. When it works, people may notice earlier wakefulness, improved alertness, and a lighter mood over days to weeks. The interesting part is that timing matters. Late use can interfere with sleep because light tells the brain it is daytime. The intensity and distance matter too, which is why standard devices and guidance are important. It is also not for everyone. People with bipolar disorder need extra caution because strong light can trigger mania in some cases. The fascination is that something as ordinary as brightness can act like a medicine, steering hormones like melatonin and shaping the mood landscape of an entire Bandese season. Some naturopaths order laboratory tests, but interpretation standards can differ. A blood test can feel like a crisp verdict, yet it is really a snapshot that needs context. Some naturopaths order labs to look for nutrient gaps, metabolic risk, or signs that a symptom has a medical cause that deserves urgent attention. The tricky part is what happens next. Different clinicians may use different reference ranges, different optimal targets, and different ideas about what a borderline value means. One person may treat a slightly abnormal result as a reason to watch and recheck. Another may treat it as a diagnosis that needs an aggressive supplement plan. That gap can change the whole story a patient hears. The most fascinating part is that interpretation is where science meets judgment. Timing, recent illness, fasting status, and even intense exercise can shift results. The safest approach is to ask why a test was ordered, what decision it will change, and how results will be confirmed over time. Overtesting can create false alarms because normal ranges include extremes. More tests can feel like more certainty, yet statistics can play a prank. A reference range is built so that many healthy people sit inside it, but not everyone will. If you run enough tests, it becomes likely that one will land outside the range purely by chance, even when nothing is wrong. That single odd number can trigger worry, repeat testing, and a cascade of unnecessary supplements or restrictive diets. It can also distract from the real issue, like sleep deprivation or a medication side effect. The wonder here is that medicine is not only about finding signals. It is about distinguishing signal from noise. Good clinicians choose tests like tools, not like lottery tickets. They ask what outcome the test will change and what the next step would be if it is abnormal. Overtesting can also create a new identity, the person who is always abnormal, when they are simply human. Knowing this can make you calmer and smarter when a random lab value looks scary. Adrenal fatigue is not a recognized diagnosis, despite being widely marketed. The phrase sounds convincing because it matches a real feeling, exhaustion, that will not lift. It also offers a neat story. Stress drains your adrenal glands, then everything falls apart. The problem is that mainstream endocrinology does not recognize it as a defined medical condition, and research has not confirmed it as a single syndrome with a clear test or treatment. That does not mean people are making up their fatigue. It means the label can become a shortcut that stops deeper investigation. Sleep apnea, anemia, depression, thyroid disease, medication effects, and chronic infections can all produce profound tiredness. Lifestyle factors can too, especially long-term sleep loss and burnout. The fascination is how a catchy diagnosis can spread faster than careful evidence, because it gives people a name for suffering. A better path is to treat severe fatigue as important data, then look for the real driver with a step-by-step approach instead of a one-size story. True adrenal insufficiency is serious, and it requires conventional treatment. There is a real condition where the body cannot produce enough cortisol, and it is not a lifestyle problem that can be fixed with herbs. When cortisol is truly low, the body can struggle to maintain blood pressure, blood sugar, and a stable response to illness. People may have weight loss, nausea, weakness, dizziness, and darkening skin in some forms. During stress like infection or surgery, the risk becomes urgent because the body needs extra cortisol to cope. Without proper treatment, an adrenal crisis can be life-threatening. This is why accurate diagnosis matters so much. It is also why confusing this condition with a trendy label can be dangerous. The proper management involves prescribed steroid replacement and clear emergency planning, sometimes including injectable medication and medical alert. Identification. The "or" here is not a miracle cure. It is the reality that one hormone can be so essential that life depends on it. That is why conventional care is non-negotiable in this case. Thyroid testing is nuanced, and supplement interference can confuse results. The thyroid is small, but it sets the tempo for many body systems, from heart rate to temperature to energy. Testing can look straightforward, yet it often requires careful interpretation. A common screening test is TSH, but it is only one part of the story. Free hormone levels, antibodies, and patterns over time can matter, especially when symptoms and labs do not match neatly. The nuance deepens when supplements enter. Some people take thyroid support blends, high iodine products, or glandular extracts without realizing they can shift labs or symptoms. Even non-thyroid supplements can interfere with assays, which can create confusing results that look like disease progression or improvement. The fascinating part is that lab numbers are not pure truth. They are measurements filtered through biology, timing, and chemistry. The safest approach is to tell your clinician every supplement you take, pause anything that could distort testing when advised, and focus on trends and symptoms together, rather than a single number. Biotin can distort lab assays, including thyroid and heart markers. Biotin is sold for hair and nails, and many people take high doses without a second thought. The surprise is that biotin can interfere with certain lab test methods, leading to results that look dangerously abnormal when they are not. Thyroid tests can be skewed in a way that resembles hyperthyroidism. Some cardiac markers can also be affected, which is especially alarming in emergency settings where rapid decisions are made. The twist is that the body is not changing. The measurement is. This can lead to unnecessary fear, wrong diagnoses, and inappropriate treatment if clinicians do not know about the supplement. The most fascinating part is how modern lab technology relies on biochemical binding tricks, and biotin can disrupt those tricks. The practical solution is simple and powerful. Always disclose biotin use and ask whether you should stop it before blood work. In urgent care, mention it immediately. A tiny vitamin can otherwise rewrite your lab story. Food sensitivity antibody panels are controversial, and they can mislead diets. These panels often promise clarity, a simple list of foods your body reacts to, based on antibodies like IgG. The appeal is obvious. You want an answer, and you want it fast. The controversy is that IgG antibodies can reflect exposure and tolerance rather than harm, meaning a positive result may simply indicate you eat that food often. When people follow these results rigidly, diets can become unnecessarily restrictive. That can reduce nutrition, increase anxiety, and make social eating feel impossible. It can also distract from conditions that deserve proper evaluation, like celiac disease, true allergy, or irritable bowel triggers that are not immune-mediated. The fascinating part is how a test can feel scientific and still be misleading, because the biology behind it does not match the marketing story. A more grounded approach uses symptom tracking, structured trials, and medical evaluation when red flags appear. Food should not become a fear list built on shaky interpretation. Microbiome testing is exciting, yet clinical guidance is still limited. The idea is thrilling. A stool sample can reveal the hidden ecosystem inside you. Reports list bacteria, diversity scores, and colorful charts that make your gut feel like a galaxy. The limitation is that we are still learning how to translate those patterns into clear actions for individuals. Two healthy people can have very different microbiomes. A single sample can shift after travel, illness, or antibiotics. Even the same lab can yield different results depending on methods and reference databases. That means many recommendations are still general, like eating more fiber-rich plants or reducing ultra-processed foods, rather than precise, strain by SC. Strain prescriptions. The fascination is that this field is young, and it is moving fast. Microbiome research is reshaping how we think about digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Yet the smartest use right now is cautious curiosity. Use testing as a learning tool, not a diagnosis machine. Focus on habits that reliably support gut health and treat fancy charts as hypotheses that need validation. Genetic nutrition advice exists, but many claims outpace evidence. A saliva test can promise to tell you the perfect diet for your genes, and that promise is hard to resist. Genetics does influence some traits, like lactose tolerance, caffeine metabolism, and certain lipid responses. The problem is that many nutrition outcomes are shaped by many genes, each with small effects, and those effects interact with sleep, stress, movement, culture, and environment. That makes eat this. Avoid that claims feel more confident than the science supports. The fascination is that nutrigenomics is real, but it is not a crystal ball. Some genetic information can help explain why two people respond differently to the same food pattern. Yet the most powerful dietary improvements still tend to be simple and broadly effective, like more whole foods and more plants, adequate protein and fewer ultra-processed calories. A wise approach treats genetic advice as one input, not the whole map. If a recommendation sounds extreme, it deserves extra skepticism and a reality check with measurable outcomes. The placebo effect is real physiology, not imaginary improvement. When people hear placebo, they sometimes think it means fake. In reality, expectation can change the body. The brain can release pain-dampening chemicals, adjust attention, and shift stress responses. And those shifts can change symptoms like pain, nausea, and fatigue. This does not mean illness is all in your head. It means the head and body are one system. The story becomes even more interesting when you consider the nocebo effect, where negative expectations can worsen symptoms and side effects. In clinical trials, placebo responses can be strong enough to hide or exaggerate the true effect of a treatment, which is why good research designs matter. In real life, this explains why a caring clinician, a believable plan, and a clear sense of safety can improve outcomes. It also explains why magical marketing can feel powerful even when the underlying intervention is weak. The practical takeaway is to respect your mind's influence while still demanding honest evidence for treatments. Hope is a real lever, but it should not replace reality. Therapeutic relationships can change outcomes because trust affects adherence and stress. When someone feels heard, the body often stops fighting the appointment. Trust can lower defensiveness, and that changes what people do after they leave. A patient who believes their clinician takes them seriously is more likely to follow through, to report side effects early, and to return for course correction instead of quitting in silence. There is also a stress angle. If every health interaction feels rushed or dismissive, the nervous system can stay on alert, and that can make symptoms feel louder. A strong therapeutic relationship can do the opposite. It can make the plan feel possible, and it can make uncertainty feel safer. This is not about charm. It is about reliability, clear explanations, and boundaries that protect the patient. The most fascinating part is that warmth can become a practical clinical tool. It improves communication, and better communication changes outcomes, even when the treatment itself is simple. Naturopathic care often emphasizes prevention, like blood pressure and waist tracking. Prevention can sound boring until you realize it is the art of noticing trouble early, while it is still reversible. A blood pressure cuff at home can reveal patterns a single clinic reading misses. Waist measurements can reflect changes in visceral fat, which is metabolically active tissue linked to insulin resistance and inflammation. These tools are not about vanity. They are feedback. When someone improves sleep, changes meals, and adds consistent movement, these numbers often respond quietly in the background. That response can become motivation, because it turns invisible progress into something you can see. Prevention also shifts focus from emergencies to habits. It asks, what is drifting, and what small change brings it back? The fascination is that simple measurements can act like early warning lights on a dashboard. You do not wait for the engine to fail. You respond when the light first flickers, and you keep the whole system running longer. Tobacco cessation remains one of the highest impact natural health interventions. If a clinician could prescribe one change that improves nearly every organ system, stopping tobacco would be near the top. Quitting reduces cardiovascular risk, improves lung function over time, and lowers cancer risk compared with continued smoking. The body begins repairing quickly. Circulation improves, carbon monoxide levels drop, and the sense of taste and smell often sharpen. It is also a powerful example of how addiction is not a character flaw. It is biology, habit loops, and environment. That is why successful quitting often uses multiple supports, like nicotine replacement, medications, coaching, and social reinforcement. The most fascinating part is that the benefits keep stacking for years, which means the decision echoes forward like compound interest. In naturopathic settings, tobacco cessation can be framed as the most evidence-based kind of prevention. It is also deeply humane because it treats the person with respect while addressing a major driver of disease. Alcohol reduction can improve sleep and liver markers within weeks. Alcohol can feel like it helps you fall asleep, yet it often fragments sleep later in the night. People may wake at 3 a.m. with a dry mouth, a racing mind, and lighter, less restorative rest. Reducing alcohol can reverse that pattern surprisingly fast. Sleep becomes steadier, mornings become clearer, and mood can feel less brittle. The liver story is just as compelling. The liver is a chemical processing plant, and it prioritizes alcohol metabolism. When alcohol intake drops, liver enzymes and fat accumulation markers can improve, especially when paired with better nutrition. Many people also notice fewer reflux symptoms and less nighttime snoring. The fascinating part is that alcohol reduction is measurable. You can track sleep, energy, and labs, then watch the trend shift. This is not about moralizing. It is about physiology responding to less burden. Even small changes, like alcohol-free weekdays or smaller servings, can create a noticeable difference in how the body recovers. Regular strength training protects aging bones better than most supplements. Bones are not dead scaffolding. They are living tissue that remodels in response to force. Strength training applies that force in a controlled way, telling bones they are needed and encouraging them to maintain density. It also strengthens muscles, tendons, and balance, which reduces fall risk, and falls are where fractures often happen. Supplements can help in specific deficiencies, but they cannot replace mechanical loading. The fascinating part is how adaptable the body remains. Even later in life, resistance training can build meaningful strength, improve posture, and make everyday tasks easier. The program does not have to be extreme. Squats to a chair, loaded carries with light weights, and gradual progression can be enough to start. This is why many prevention-focused clinicians treat strength work like a cornerstone habit. It protects mobility, confidence, and independence. In a way, it is future-proofing the body, one repetition at a time. Sunlight helps set circadian rhythm, but skin cancer risk needs balance. Morning light is like a conductor raising a baton. It tells the brain that day has begun, which helps set the timing of alertness, appetite, and melatonin release later at night. People who get outdoor light earlier often find it easier to fall asleep on schedule. The twist is that sunlight is also ultraviolet radiation, and cumulative exposure can damage skin and raise cancer risk. That means the most useful approach is not fear or worship. It is strategy. Seek brighter light when the sun is lower and the UV index is safer. Use shade, clothing, and sunscreen when UV is high. Protect children's skin, because early burns can have long-term consequences. The fascination is that light is both medicine and hazard, depending on dose and timing. When you treat sunlight like a tool, you can use it to improve sleep and mood, while still protecting the skin that carries you through your whole life. Dental health links to systemic inflammation, making flossing surprisingly relevant. The mouth is not separate from the body. It is a living surface full of blood vessels, immune cells, and a dense microbial community. When gums are inflamed, that inflammation can spill into the bloodstream as chemical signals, and the bacteria involved can enter circulation during brushing or dental procedures. Periodontal disease has been associated with higher risks of certain systemic conditions, though association is not the same as cause. Still, the mouth can act like a chronic irritant, and reducing that burden makes physiological sense. The fascinating part is how small routines matter. Flossing disrupts plaque where a toothbrush cannot reach. Regular cleanings catch problems early, before deep pockets form. Bleeding gums are often treated as normal, but they are a signal, like smoke from a small fire. Dental care becomes a form of prevention that is tangible and immediate. It is also empowering, because it is one of the few health systems you can influence every day in under 2 minutes. Indoor air quality can affect asthma triggers, especially dust mites and mold. You breathe thousands of times a day, which means your indoor environment becomes a constant exposure. For people with asthma or allergies, tiny particles can act like invisible switches, setting off cough, wheeze, or tightness. Dust mites thrive in bedding and soft furnishings, especially in humid conditions. Mold can grow in damp corners, behind walls, or in air conditioning systems, and its spores can irritate sensitive airways. Pet dander and smoke residue add to the mix. The fascinating part is that symptom control can sometimes improve without changing medications, simply by changing the air. Washing bedding hot, using allergen covers, reducing indoor humidity, and improving ventilation can reduce triggers. High-quality filtration can help in some homes, especially near busy roads or during wildfire smoke events. This is not about sterilizing life. It is about reducing the constant background irritation that keeps airways reactive. When breathing becomes easier, sleep and energy often follow. Cooking methods change food chemistry, like charring increasing some carcinogens. Heat transforms food, and that transformation can be delicious and risky at the same time. When meat is grilled, fried, or charred at high temperatures, compounds can form that are linked with cancer risk in animal studies and observational human research. The blackened crust that tastes smoky can also carry more of these chemicals. That does not mean you must fear cooking. It means you can cook smarter. Marinating meat can reduce formation of some harmful compounds. Lower heat, shorter cooking time, and avoiding direct flames can help. Flipping frequently can reduce scorching. Pairing grilled foods with vegetables adds protective nutrients and fiber, and it changes the overall dietary pattern. The fascination is that the kitchen is a chemistry lab you control. The same ingredients can become different exposures depending on method. When you understand that, you gain practical power. You can keep the flavors you love while reducing the hidden costs that come with repeated charring. Naturopathy has roots in European nature cure movements of the 19th century. In that era, many people were watching cities swell, factories roar, and daily life shift indoors. At the same time, medical care could be harsh, expensive, and often ineffective. Nature cure movements offered a different promise. They looked to fresh air, bathing, sunlight, movement, and simple food as everyday medicine. Health retreats and spas became laboratories for living, where routines were prescribed like treatments. The appeal was not only physical, it was philosophical. If modern life was making people sick, then health might be rebuilt by returning to nature's patterns. That cultural momentum helped shape early naturopathic identity, long before the modern supplement industry existed. Understanding that origin makes the present-day conversation clearer. Naturopathy did not appear out of nowhere. It grew from a moment when people wanted care that felt human, preventive, and within their own reach. Early naturopathy reacted against harsh medical practices like bloodletting and mercury. To modern ears, it is shocking to remember that some older medical treatments could be actively damaging. Bloodletting was used for many conditions, even when weakness was already the problem. Mercury compounds were used in ways that could poison patients while aiming to help them. In that context, a movement that emphasized rest, clean water, food, and time outdoors felt like a rescue boat. It offered a gentler philosophy and, for some people, a safer alternative. The fascinating tension is that this reaction shaped naturopathy's personality. It encouraged skepticism toward mainstream medicine, which sometimes protected people. It also planted a habit of distrust that can become unhelpful in modern times, where many conventional treatments are life-saving. This history explains why naturopathy can feel both compassionate and rebellious. It began as a protest against harm, and that origin still echoes in the choices practitioners make today. Modern naturopathic schools include basic sciences, though depth varies widely. A person may imagine naturopathic education as only herbs and supplements, yet many programs teach anatomy, physiology, and pathology, along with clinical skills and supervised patient encounters. Students learn to speak the language of the body, from hormones to inflammation to metabolism. The nuance is that not all schools are equivalent, and depth can vary by country and accreditation. That means two graduates can share a title while carrying different levels of biomedical training. This is part of what makes the field so hard to summarize in a single sentence. Some graduates are comfortable reading research and integrating it with lifestyle care. Others lean more heavily on tradition and brand-driven protocols. For listeners, the fascinating takeaway is that education shapes outcomes. It determines how quickly a practitioner recognizes danger, how well they interpret evidence, and how responsibly they use powerful tools. The label is a starting point. The curriculum is the real story. Licensing exams exist in some regions, shaping scope of practice. Licensing is where a philosophy becomes a regulated profession. In regions that license naturopaths, exams, and oversight create a shared baseline of knowledge, and they define what a practitioner is allowed to do. That can include limits on procedures, use of certain therapies, and expectations for ethical behavior and continuing education. It also creates a formal pathway for accountability, which matters when health decisions go wrong. The fascinating part is how laws shape the experience of care. In one place, a naturopath may be integrated into clinics, able to order specific labs and coordinate referrals smoothly. In another, a naturopath may function more like a wellness coach, with fewer clinical options and fewer guardrails. Licensing also influences public perception. A credential can sound official, yet it means nothing where it is not recognized. For a patient, the practical curiosity is to ask what licensing exists locally and what it actually permits in real life. Some naturopaths can prescribe limited medications where law allows. This surprises many people because naturopathy is often assumed to be strictly non-pharmaceutical. In some jurisdictions, legal scope includes prescribing certain medications, often within defined boundaries. That can look like a pragmatic bridge. A practitioner might use lifestyle and nutrition as the foundation, then use medication when it is clearly needed, especially for straightforward conditions within their permitted scope. The fascination is that this blurs the cartoonish line between natural and conventional. Real healthcare rarely fits tidy categories. Still, limits matter. Prescribing rights do not automatically mean broad medical authority, and rules differ widely across regions. This is why the most important question is not whether a practitioner can prescribe. It is what they can prescribe, for which conditions, and how they coordinate with other clinicians. When done well, limited prescribing can support safety, reduce delays, and keep care grounded in reality rather than ideology. In many places, naturopaths cannot diagnose or treat serious disease legally. Scope of practice is not just bureaucracy. It is a safety system. In many regions, naturopaths are restricted from diagnosing serious disease, prescribing medications, or managing high-risk conditions. That means a person seeking help for major symptoms may need a medical doctor, an emergency department, or a specialist, even if they also want supportive lifestyle care. The fascinating part is how easy it is to misunderstand this. A clinic website can sound clinical, and a white coat can look authoritative, yet legal authority may be limited. This is why responsible practitioners are clear about boundaries. They support wellness, symptom management within scope, and referral when the situation exceeds it. The risk comes when boundaries are ignored, and serious illness is treated as a lifestyle imbalance that can wait. For listeners, This is empowering information. It helps you choose the right door for the right problem, and it helps you avoid delay when time matters. Ethical practice includes knowing red flags and referring promptly when needed. Ethics in healthcare is not only about kindness. It is about judgment under pressure. A practitioner may be the first person a patient tells about chest pain, sudden weakness, blood in stool, unexplained weight loss, or a severe headache that feels khmer, unlike any before. These are red flags, and they are moments where referral is the treatment. Prompt referral protects the patient from the false comfort of watch and wait when danger may be rising. The fascination is that good clinicians train themselves to recognize patterns, even when a patient's story is emotional or confusing. They also communicate clearly, so the patient understands urgency without panic. Ethical practice includes documenting, coordinating, and following up, rather than simply sending someone away. This is where naturopathy can either shine or fail. When practitioners respect limits and act quickly, they become a valuable part of a broader system. When they hesitate, trust is broken, and the cost can be high. Delayed diagnosis is a key risk when serious symptoms are dismissed. Delay often begins with a story that sounds reassuring. It is probably stress. It is likely detox. It will settle if you cut out a few foods. Sometimes those stories are true. Sometimes they are dangerously wrong. Serious illness can masquerade as ordinary fatigue, indigestion, back pain, or anxiety. The risk increases when symptoms are repeatedly explained away without proper evaluation. This is not a critique of any single profession. It is a human problem, because everyone wants a simple answer. The fascination is that the body can whisper before it screams. Early cancer signs can be subtle. Heart disease can present as jaw pain or breathlessness. Neurological problems can start as clumsiness or numbness. The safest mindset is to treat persistent, worsening, or alarming symptoms as worth investigating, even if you prefer natural care. Integrative support is wonderful, but it should sit beside appropriate diagnosis, not in place of it. Vaccine attitudes vary among naturopaths, creating public health controversy. Vaccines sit at the intersection of personal choice and population-level protection, which makes them emotionally charged. Within naturopathy, attitudes can range from strong support to deep skepticism. Some practitioners focus on community benefits and the evidence for preventing severe disease. Others emphasize individual variation, adverse event fears, or broader distrust of institutions. This variability is part of why the topic sparks controversy. Patients may assume a naturopath will be anti-vaccine, then discover their practitioner is strongly pro-vaccine. Others may seek a vaccine-friendly clinician and find the opposite. The fascinating part is that this debate is not only scientific, it is also about trust, history, and communication. People often want their concerns taken seriously, and they want honest risk discussion without shame. When those needs are unmet, skepticism grows. For listeners, the practical takeaway is to ask directly about a practitioner's stance and to seek sources that separate evidence from identity. Evidence-based naturopaths often support vaccines while addressing side effect fears. In this approach, vaccination is treated as a preventive tool, and side effect worries are treated as valid questions rather than character flaws. A clinician may explain common reactions like soreness and fever and how to manage them safely. They may discuss rare risks in plain language and compare them with the risks of infection, especially for vulnerable groups. They also help patients navigate misinformation by focusing on what is known, what is uncertain, and what monitoring systems exist. The fascination is that empathy can coexist with evidence. The person does not need to be bullied into trust. They can be guided into it through clear explanations and respectful dialogue. Evidence-based practitioners also know when to coordinate with medical doctors, especially for complex allergy histories or immune conditions. This style of care aims to protect both the individual and the community, while keeping the conversation human. It is a reminder that the best health communication is not louder. It is clearer. Pregnancy and childhood need extra caution because dosing rules change. Bodies in pregnancy and early life process substances differently, and the stakes are higher because development is still unfolding. A dose that feels mild for an adult can be too strong for a small child, and a compound that seems harmless can cross the placenta during pregnancy. That is why careful clinicians treat these stages as their own category of care, not just smaller versions of adulthood. They ask different questions, and they avoid anything with uncertain safety data. They also think about timing, because early pregnancy is a period of rapid formation. In childhood, the liver and kidneys are still maturing and the brain is still wiring itself. The fascinating part is that safety becomes a moving target, changing month by month. The best approach is simple and respectful. Use conventional pediatric and prenatal guidance as the foundation. Then add supportive lifestyle strategies that are low risk and clearly beneficial. Many herbs are unsafe in pregnancy, even when they seem gentle. An herb can be soothing in one context and disruptive in another, especially during pregnancy. Some plants can stimulate uterine activity. Others can affect hormones or blood pressure. Some can stress the liver. The challenge is that traditional use does not always come with precise dosing, and modern supplements can concentrate compounds far beyond what food or tea would deliver. That gap between a little in cooking and a high-potency capsule is where risk can hide. The most compelling reason for caution is that the developing baby is exquisitely sensitive to chemical signals, and those signals do not need to be dramatic to matter. A responsible practitioner does not guess here. They rely on established safety guidance, and they choose simpler supports first, like sleep, hydration, and nutrition. If nausea is the issue, they consider approaches with clearer evidence and safer history, and they coordinate with prenatal care providers. Blood thinners interact with many supplements, including ginkgo and high-dose fish oil. Blood clotting is a finely tuned system, and medications that thin the blood are prescribed because the balance matters. When supplements that affect clotting are added on top, the risk can shift quietly toward bruising or bleeding. Some products influence platelet function. Others alter how the liver processes medications, which can change drug levels. The person taking them may feel fine, until a nosebleed will not stop, or a bruise blooms unusually large. That is why supplement lists are not trivia in a medical visit. They are safety information. The fascinating part is that interactions do not require a dramatic overdose. They can arise from ordinary doses combined in an unlucky way. A thoughtful plan is straightforward. Tell every clinician and pharmacist what you take, including teas and powders. Avoid stacking multiple blood-thinning supplements. If anticoagulant medication is part of your life, treat any new supplement like a medication change that deserves review. Surgery planning often requires stopping certain supplements to reduce bleeding risk. Before surgery, clinicians think about bleeding the way pilots think about weather. They want predictable conditions. Some supplements can increase bleeding tendency, interfere with anesthesia, or affect blood pressure during the procedure. Even products that seem benign can matter, because surgery is a controlled injury, and the body's clotting response is part of the repair plan. This is why pre-operative checklists often include supplements, not only prescriptions. The tricky part is that many people forget to mention them, because they do not feel like medicine. A good surgical team will ask, and a careful patient will bring a complete list, including herbal teas, powders, and immune blends. The fascinating piece is that timing matters. Some substances should be stopped days or weeks ahead, depending on how long they influence platelets or enzymes. The safest move is to follow surgical guidance exactly, and never assume that natural means it will not affect the operating room. Liver and kidney disease can change how herbs are processed and cleared. The liver and kidneys are the body's main processing and clearance systems, and many herbs rely on them just like medications do. When these organs are impaired, compounds can build up, and what would be a normal dose can become excessive. That can mean stronger side effects, unpredictable interactions, and longer recovery after a reaction. It can also mean that contaminants in low-quality supplements become more dangerous because the body has less capacity to handle them. The fascinating part is that organ impairment is not always obvious day to day. Someone can feel mostly normal while their filtration and metabolism are reduced. That is why responsible care starts with knowing the medical history and using caution with any concentrated extract. In these cases, lifestyle changes like nutrition, sleep, and movement are often safer first steps because they do not add new chemical burdens. If herbs are used at all, they should be chosen carefully, dosed conservatively, and coordinated with medical oversight. Detox is mostly liver and kidneys, not special cleansers or foot pads. The body already runs a detox system every minute, and it is beautifully engineered. The liver transforms compounds so they can be excreted. The kidneys filter blood and control what leaves through urine. The lungs exhale volatile substances, and the gut moves waste onward. Many commercial detox plans sell the fantasy of a shortcut, but the real work is steady physiology. That does not mean supportive habits are pointless. Hydration supports kidney function. Fiber helps bind and remove waste through the gut. Adequate sleep supports metabolic housekeeping. Avoiding excess alcohol reduces liver strain. The fascinating shift is that detox becomes less mysterious and more empowering. You cannot flush toxins with a single cleanse, but you can reduce exposures and strengthen the organs that already do the job. A good clinician translates detox from marketing into practical choices. They focus on evidence-based supports, and they watch for red flags, because severe symptoms should never be dismissed as a cleanse reaction. Extreme fasting can be risky, especially for diabetes or eating disorder history. Fasting can sound simple. Stop eating for a while, and the body will reset. In reality, the body responds to food absence with a cascade of hormonal changes that can be helpful for some people and dangerous for others. In diabetes, especially with insulin or certain medications, fasting can trigger low blood sugar or unpredictable swings. In people with a history of eating disorders, strict fasting can reawaken obsessive patterns and escalate quickly. Even without those risks, extreme fasting can cause dizziness, irritability, headaches, and impaired concentration, which can affect driving and work safety. The fascinating part is that the same intervention can have opposite effects depending on context. A safer approach focuses on stability first, regular meals with adequate protein and fiber, then gradual changes if appropriate. If someone wants to explore fasting, it should be moderate, medically informed when needed, and paired with careful monitoring rather than willpower alone. The best naturopathic plans are measurable, with goals, timelines, and follow-ups. A good plan feels like a map you can actually use. It includes a clear goal, like fewer migraines, steadier energy, or lower blood pressure. It sets a timeline, so you know when to expect change and when to reassess. It chooses a small number of interventions at first, so you can tell what is working. It also defines what success looks like, with measures that fit the real world, like symptom days per month, sleep hours, step counts, or lab markers when appropriate. The fascination is that measurement turns wellness into something testable, not something you only hope for. Follow-ups matter because bodies adapt, obstacles appear, and early plans often need tuning. Without follow-up, people either abandon the plan or keep doing something that is not helping. With follow-up, the plan becomes a living experiment. That mindset protects against hype, and it rewards what truly works for the individual. Shared decision-making reduces harm because patients understand trade-offs and uncertainty. Health decisions are rarely pure wins. A supplement might help sleep but cause vivid dreams. A dietary change might reduce symptoms but strain social life. Shared decision-making means the clinician lays out options, risks, benefits, and uncertainty. Then the patient chooses based on their values and constraints. That process reduces harm because it prevents hidden surprises. It also improves adherence because people are more likely to follow a plan they helped design. The fascinating part is that uncertainty is not a weakness. It is honest medicine. When a practitioner admits what is known and what is not, the patient learns to think in probabilities, not promises. That protects against miracle claims and fear-based marketing. It also makes room for creativity. Some people will accept slower progress to avoid side effects. Others will choose a stronger intervention with careful monitoring. Shared decision-making turns care into a partnership, and partnership is safer than obedience. Herbal sourcing matters because contamination and mislabeling still occur. An herb begins as a plant, yet it ends as a global supply chain. Along the way, quality can shift. Soil can contain heavy metals. Harvesting can accidentally include the wrong species. Storage can allow mold. Manufacturing can concentrate what should have been diluted or dilute what should have been reliable. Mislabeling can be accidental, or it can be profit-driven. That is why sourcing is not a boring detail. It is the difference between a predictable product and a mystery capsule. This is where third-party testing and reputable brands become more than marketing. They become safety tools. Some companies test for identity, potency, and contaminants. Others do not. A person can also look for clear batch information and transparent manufacturing practices. The deeper story is that herbal medicine is not only about plants. It is about trust and verification. When you improve sourcing, you turn herbal care into something closer to modern pharmacology, where what you take is what you think you are taking. Supplement quality can vary because regulation differs across regions. A supplement can look polished and trustworthy, yet the rules behind it may be very different from one country to the next. In some places, products can reach shelves with limited pre-market review, and oversight may focus more on what happens after problems are reported. In other places, standards for manufacturing and labeling are stricter, and enforcement can be more active. This matters because quality is not only about good intentions. It is about systems. A capsule might contain less of an ingredient than the label suggests, or it might include an unlisted compound added for a stronger effect. Even when the ingredients are accurate, storage conditions can degrade potency over time. The fascinating part is that two people can buy the same supplement online and receive products made under entirely different standards. Knowing where something was made and what standards were used turns a blind purchase into an informed decision. Third-party testing helps confirm what is actually inside a capsule. Imagine ordering a product that claims to contain a precise ingredient, then discovering it is missing, diluted, or swapped. Third-party testing exists to reduce that uncertainty. Independent labs can verify identity, measure potency, and screen for contaminants, and that information can be tied to a specific batch. This is not about perfection. It is about narrowing the gap between the label and reality. For a listener, the wow is that a supplement can be treated with the same mindset as serious manufacturing. Batch numbers, certificates of analysis, and transparent testing practices turn a mystery into something measurable. It also changes how trust works. Instead of trusting an advertisement, you can trust a process. That matters even more for herbs and extracts, where plant variability is normal. When companies invest in testing, they are admitting a truth that is oddly comforting. Nature is complex, and quality must be proven, not assumed. Some supplements contain heavy metals, particularly in poorly controlled products. Heavy metals sound like an industrial problem, yet they can sneak into supplements through soil, water, and manufacturing shortcuts. Plants can absorb metals from the ground. Certain ingredients can be contaminated during processing, especially when sourcing is unclear and testing is absent. The result can be a product that carries trace amounts of lead, arsenic, cadmium, or mercury beyond recommended limits. This is not a reason to fear all supplements. It is a reason to respect quality control. The most unsettling part is that contamination often has no immediate symptoms. It is not like a bad meal that makes you sick that night. It can be silent, building over time. That is why testing and reputable sourcing matter so much. The story here is about invisible risks and how modern analytical chemistry can detect them before they reach your body. Safety is sometimes as simple as choosing products that prove what they are free from. Proprietary blends can hide doses, making safety assessment harder. A label can list a long, impressive-sounding blend, then hide the most important detail, which is how much of each ingredient you are actually getting. When everything is grouped under one combined number, you cannot easily judge whether an ingredient is present at a meaningful dose or just sprinkled in for marketing. You also cannot easily spot when a stimulant, laxative, or sedative is present at a risky level. This matters because dose shapes both benefit and harm. A small dose may do nothing. A large dose may interact with medications or trigger side effects. Proprietary blends also make it hard for clinicians to evaluate what you are taking, which complicates safe care. The intriguing part is that the most trustworthy products often look less exciting. They list each ingredient clearly, with exact amounts. Transparency is a quiet signal of confidence. When a company is willing to show the numbers, it becomes easier to choose with your brain, not with a promise. Fat-soluble vitamins can accumulate, so more is not always better. Some vitamins dissolve in water and are excreted more easily, but fat-soluble vitamins can be stored in body tissues. That storage can be useful when intake varies, yet it also means high doses can build up over time. Instead of a quick pass-through, the body keeps a portion, and the level can rise quietly. The risk is not theoretical. Too much can lead to symptoms that are confusing at first, like nausea, headaches, fatigue, or skin changes, depending on the vitamin and dose. The fascination is that vitamins feel like the purest form of health, and they can still behave like potent biological signals. This is why clinicians often aim for correcting a deficiency, not chasing a superhuman level. The safest approach is targeted dosing, clear reasons, and periodic review. When you think of vitamins as tools rather than trophies, you avoid the trap of believing that more is automatically healthier. Vitamin A excess can harm pregnancy, despite being natural. Vitamin A is essential for vision, immune function, and healthy tissues, and it plays a powerful role in embryonic development. That power is exactly why excess can be dangerous during pregnancy. High intakes of preformed vitamin A, which is found in some supplements and in large amounts of liver, have been linked to birth defects. This can surprise people because vitamin A sounds like a basic nutrient, and nutrients often feel harmless. The deeper lesson is that pregnancy changes the safety conversation. The margin for error can shrink, and the timing of exposure matters. This is why prenatal vitamins are formulated carefully, and why clinicians advise caution with extra vitamin A supplements. The fascinating part is not just the warning. It is the way a single molecule can guide development. A nutrient can act like an instruction signal. In the right range, it supports life. In the wrong range, it can disrupt it. Vitamin D is crucial, yet megadoses can raise calcium dangerously. Vitamin D helps regulate calcium and bone health, and it is linked to many body systems, which is why it is so frequently discussed. The problem begins when people treat it like a harmless shortcut and take very high doses for long periods without monitoring. Too much can raise blood calcium, and that can cause symptoms like nausea, confusion, weakness, and frequent urination. In severe cases, it can strain the kidneys. The twist is that vitamin D levels do not always correlate with how someone feels day to day, so excess can build without obvious warning signs. This makes it a perfect example of why supplementation should be guided by a goal and a plan, often including lab checks when higher doses are used. The fascination is that a sunshine vitamin can become a silent disruptor when taken without boundaries. Proper dosing is not about caution for its own sake. It is what turns a helpful nutrient into safe care. Fiber supplements can lower cholesterol modestly, especially soluble fibers. Some fibers do more than keep digestion moving. Soluble fibers can form a gel-like substance in the gut that influences how cholesterol is handled, including bile acids that the body uses to digest, quote, fats. Over time, that can lead to modest reductions in certain cholesterol markers, which is meaningful when combined with diet, movement, and medical care when needed. The interesting part is how practical it can be. A person might add psyllium husk in water or a fiber blend mixed into food, then track changes in labs over months. It is not flashy. It is steady. Fiber can also affect fullness, which can shift snacking habits without willpower battles. The key is to increase gradually and drink enough water, because too much too fast can cause bloating. The larger fascination is that a simple texture in the gut can change what is happening in the bloodstream. That connection feels almost magical, yet it is basic physiology. It is a reminder that some of the most useful health tools are quietly unglamorous. Some naturopathic tools have strong evidence, while others remain unproven. This is where the topic becomes truly interesting, because it is not a simple yes or no. Some recommendations align closely with mainstream preventive medicine, like improving diet quality, building exercise habits, and supporting sleep. Consistency. Other practices sit on shakier ground, built on tradition, marketing, or hopeful storytelling rather than solid trials. The challenge is that both can appear side by side in the same clinic brochure. That means the real skill is discernment. What has good evidence? What has mixed evidence? What is plausible but uncertain? What has known risks? A careful practitioner will talk in probabilities rather than promises. They will measure progress, adjust plans, and admit uncertainty without losing confidence. A careless one may sell certainty like a product. For a listener, the wow moment is realizing that the most important tool may be critical thinking, applied with warmth and humility. Many naturopaths follow 6 core principles, including first, do no harm. These principles act like a compass, not a recipe. One principle emphasizes supporting the body's ability to heal. Another pushes the clinician to search for underlying causes rather than chasing symptoms. There is a principle centered on teaching, which means explaining the why so the patient can steer their own choices. Prevention is also a cornerstone, because waiting for disease to fully arrive is a costly strategy. First, do no harm shapes the order of decisions. It favors lower-risk steps before stronger interventions. It also includes knowing when not to act, when to simplify, and when to refer out. The sixth principle asks the practitioner to treat the whole person. That can include sleep timing, food culture, relationships, and the stresses that quietly shape physiology over years. In some places, naturopaths are licensed clinicians, while elsewhere they are not. This single detail changes almost everything about what a patient can expect. In regulated regions, a license usually means a defined scope of practice, required education, and a formal complaint process. It can also affect what is legal, from ordering certain labs to using specific therapies. In unregulated regions, the same job title may be used by people with very different backgrounds. That creates a strange situation where two naturopaths can offer completely different kinds of care, while sounding identical in a casual conversation. For listeners, it is a reminder to ask practical questions. What training did you complete? Are you licensed here? What can you legally do, and what should you refer out? This is not about mistrust. It is about clarity, because health decisions deserve clear rules and accountability. The same naturopathic label can mean very different training, depending on country. In one place, a practitioner may complete a long, structured program with clinical internships and board-style exams. In another, the path may be a short course focused on supplements and coaching. Some programs emphasize biomedical sciences, while others lean toward traditional philosophy and historical healing systems. The result is a word that sounds stable, even when the foundation underneath it shifts. This can confuse patients who assume credentials travel smoothly across borders, the way a passport does. It can also confuse journalists, because a headline may treat the field as one uniform profession. For a curious listener, it is an invitation to look past the label and toward the details. Ask about curriculum, supervised clinical hours, and what the person does on an ordinary day. Training shapes not only knowledge, but also how risk is judged and handled. Natural does not automatically mean safe, gentle, or right for everyone. Nature makes honey, and nature also makes poison. The label natural can be comforting, but it is not a safety certificate. An herb can strain the liver in one person and be tolerated in another. A supplement can be harmless at low doses and risky at high ones. Even vitamins can cause trouble when they accumulate or when they interfere with medications. The word also hides quality problems. Two bottles can look similar, yet one may contain far more of an active compound, or even contaminants, depending on sourcing and testing. There is also the issue of timing. What is fine for a healthy adult may be unsuitable during pregnancy, childhood, or chronic illness. The best mindset is not fear. It is precision. Ask what it does, what the risks are, and who should avoid it. That single shift turns natural from a slogan into a real conversation. The biggest divide in naturopathy is between evidence-based care and magical thinking. This divide can exist inside the same clinic and sometimes inside the same person. Evidence-based naturopathy treats claims like hypotheses. It asks for good studies, realistic expectations, and clear safety boundaries. It embraces lifestyle medicine and uses supplements with care, often as targeted support rather than a cure-all. Magical thinking looks different. It leans on secret causes, universal detox stories, and promises that sound too neat for biology. It may frame illness as a moral failure or a toxin battle, which can make people feel scared and dependent. The difference is not about being cold or warm. Both can sound kind. The difference is about honesty. Does the practitioner welcome questions? Do they track outcomes? Do they refer out when needed? This matters because the most powerful health decisions are made when curiosity meets humility, and when hope is grounded in reality. Naturopathy commonly uses detailed food diaries to spot hidden diet patterns. A food diary can feel ordinary until it starts behaving like a detective. You write down meals, snacks, drinks, and timing. Then you add sleep, stress, and symptoms, and suddenly the body begins leaving clues. Bloating that arrives after certain sweeteners. Heartburn that spikes on late nights, not spicy food. Afternoon crashes that follow a breakfast that was mostly coffee. Even skin flare-ups can reveal a rhythm, tied to weekends, travel, or a new, healthy bar. The power is not in perfection. It is in honesty and repetition. When patterns show up 3 or 4 times, they stop being guesses and start being leads. A practitioner can use that trail to test one change at a time, so you learn what matters for you instead of chasing every theory online. Many naturopathic visits are long, focusing on story, context, and daily routines. In a longer visit, the first medicine is often attention. Instead of rushing to a quick label, the practitioner may ask about mornings, meals, work pace, and what evenings really look like. Not the ideal version, the real one. They might ask when symptoms first appeared, what was happening in life then, and what has changed since. That kind of timeline can reveal turning points, like a new shift schedule, a move, a breakup, or months of poor sleep. The goal is not therapy, though it can feel relieving. The goal is finding leverage. A small routine can create big downstream effects, especially when it repeats every day. Longer appointments can also help people feel seen, which improves follow-through. That matters because the best plan is useless if it never fits a real human life. Some naturopaths use motivational interviewing, a counseling method backed by research. Motivational interviewing sounds simple, but it can feel like a door opening. Instead of telling you what to do, the practitioner asks questions that help you hear your own reasons for change. What would better energy let you do? What worries you about staying the same? What feels doable this week, not someday? They listen for what matters to you, then reflect it back in clear language. That creates momentum without shame. It also respects how change actually works. People rarely transform because they were scolded. They shift when their goals feel personal and when the first step is small enough to succeed. A plan might start with a 10-minute walk after dinner or swapping one sugary drink for water because confidence grows through wins. Over time, that approach can turn health into something you choose, not something you endure. Lifestyle change often outperforms single supplements for many chronic risk factors. Supplements are tempting because they promise a shortcut. Lifestyle changes are less glamorous, but they can change many systems at once. When a person begins walking most days, adds strength training, and improves meal patterns, blood pressure, blood sugar, and sleep can all shift together. That stack of benefits is hard to match with one capsule. It is also easier to measure. You can track your stamina on stairs. You can notice cravings calming down. You can feel mornings become steadier. A supplement might help at the edges, but it rarely rewrites the whole story. Many naturopathic plans use this as a filter. If the basics are missing, they build them first. If the basics are solid, then a targeted supplement may be considered as support, not rescue. It is a quieter strategy, yet it can be the one that lasts. Sleep hygiene is treated as a medical lever, not just a comfort habit. Sleep hygiene can sound like a cozy suggestion, but it has real physiological weight. When sleep becomes short or irregular, hunger signals can ramp up, pain sensitivity can rise, and mood can thin out. That is why some naturopathic plans treat bedtime like a prescription. The details can be surprisingly practical. Anchor a consistent wake time. Dim lights earlier so the brain gets the hint. Keep the bed for sleep, not for scrolling and work. Cool the room and protect the last hour from arguments and emails. Some people respond best to a wind-down routine that is short because long routines fail. Others need a clear boundary, like charging the phone outside the bedroom. The fascination is that tiny changes to timing and light can change how the body allocates energy, repairs tissue, and regulates appetite. Better sleep can make every other habit easier to build. Movement prescriptions can be personalized, from walking plans to resistance training. Movement is not one thing. It can be a slow walk that lowers stress after a meal. It can be strength training that makes bones and muscles more resilient. It can be mobility work that reduces stiffness so you stop avoiding activity. A personalized plan starts with the truth. What do you enjoy? What hurts? What time of day is realistic? Some people thrive on short bursts, like 10 minutes twice a day. Others need longer sessions that feel like a destination, like a weekly hike. Resistance training can be introduced gently, with bodyweight squats, light bands, and a focus on form. The goal is not punishment. It is capacity. When movement fits the person, it becomes repeatable, and repetition is where the magic lives. Over weeks, the body becomes more efficient at using energy. Over months, confidence grows, and that can change how someone sees their own health story. Stress physiology is central because cortisol and adrenaline shift immune signaling. Stress is not only a feeling, it is a cascade. When the brain senses threat, it releases signals that raise cortisol and adrenaline. In the short term, that can be useful. It sharpens attention and mobilizes fuel. In the long term, it can distort sleep, digestion, and immune balance. Some people notice it as frequent colds. Others feel it as gut symptoms, tension headaches, or a racing heart in quiet moments. That is why many naturopathic approaches talk about stress in concrete terms. What triggers it? When does it peak? Where does it land in the body? Then they look for interruptions, like morning light, regular meals, movement, and boundaries around work. The awe here is that a thought, repeated daily, can nudge immune behavior over time. The body is listening to the mind's alarms. Learning to lower those alarms can become a medical intervention, not just a mindset. Social connection is sometimes framed as medicine, through measurable health associations. Humans are wired for belonging, and the body keeps the receipts. Large studies have linked social isolation and loneliness with higher risks of poor health outcomes. Connection can influence stress hormones, sleep quality, and everyday habits like movement and eating. It also changes what people do when they are struggling. A friend can notice when you are fading. A community can make walking normal. A supportive relationship can soften the nervous system enough for digestion and rest to improve. Some naturopathic conversations include this without making it sentimental. Who do you talk to? Who energizes you? Who drains you? Where do you feel safe? The goal is practical connection, not popularity. Even one reliable person can matter. The surprising part is how physical the effect can feel. When you feel supported, your body often stops bracing. That reduction in bracing can be a real step toward healing. The future of naturopathy may depend on research, standards, and honest limits. The field sits at a crossroads. On one path, it becomes a strong branch of integrative care, grounded in research, clear training standards, and tight safety practices. On the other path, it drifts into influencer culture, where confidence replaces evidence and limits are treated as weakness. What will shape the future is not only new studies, though those matter. It is also the willingness to standardize education, to measure outcomes, and to admit when an approach does not work. Honest limits are not pessimism. They are what make trust possible. The most fascinating idea is that naturopathy could become a bridge discipline, translating lifestyle science into real routines while coordinating with conventional medicine for diagnosis and high-risk care. That would make it more than a collection of remedies. It would make it a modern practice of prevention and support, with accountability built in. The future will reward the version that chooses clarity over charisma. As we come to the end of our journey through naturopathy, you can let the ideas settle like snow in a quiet field. We wandered through a world where health is not only prescriptions and procedures, but also patterns and choices. We explored how naturopathy can start with sleep, movement, stress, and food, then extend into herbs and supplements that sometimes help and sometimes complicate. We traced the roots of the field back to 19th century nature cure traditions, and we noticed the modern tensions too, between careful evidence and confident storytelling. We paused on the power of tiny things, like light in the morning, fiber in the gut, a steady breath slowing the heart, and a trustworthy relationship making a plan feel possible. We also named the important cautions, like interactions, mislabeling, and the need for clear limits, especially in pregnancy, childhood, and serious illness. If you enjoyed this winding exploration, you can support the channel in whatever way feels right. A like, a subscription, or a quiet comment helps this little corner of science reach more curious minds. And if you are still awake, there will be another video waiting for you on the screen. You can let it carry you onward, or you can let tonight be complete. For now, allow your shoulders to loosen. Let your jaw soften. Feel the weight of your body where it rests, and notice how the breath keeps arriving without effort. With every exhale, let the day fade a little farther into the background. There is nothing to solve right now, nothing to chase, just the slow, steady rhythm of being here. Sleep well, and good night.